You're gonna react to the self-destruction of CM Punk, bro. Alright.
CM Punk is one of the most polarizing names in pro wrestling history. Upon his controversial departure from WWE in 2014, Punk seemingly distanced himself from pro wrestling altogether, deciding to explore new avenues such as MMA and acting, but the success of these ventures is probably a topic for another video. When Punk
His MMA run was wild short, bro. It was short. Like, but at least he tried. But this man, son cannot fight, bro.
left WWE and subsequently shared his perceived truth on the Colt Cabana podcast, fans and several WWE talents were firmly on his side. Punk had a terrible experience in WWE and his mental and physical health were negatively impacted as a result of his time in the company. When Punk decided to join AEW in the summer of 2021, nobody saw it coming. It was common belief that within the wrestling fandom that Punk had officially retired. Punk seemed to like the environment that was presented in AEW and had strong relationships with key figures in the company. During Punk's first months in the company, it was apparent just how happy he was. He would reveal in every media interview he took part in just how the backstage atmosphere in AEW was allowing wrestlers to thrive and how AEW had some of the best in-ring talent in the entire world. He was welcomed into AEW with open arms, and there were rumours that Punk was helping out younger talent and he was a pleasure to be around. Whilst this certainly seemed to be true during Punk's early days in the company, in 2022 this positive perception has completely disintegrated and Punk is now resented by the AEW locker room. How exactly did this happen? And is it any way back for Punk? Now, when he arrived in AEW, one of the things that fans were curious about was just how Punk and Colt Cabana were going to coexist in the same locker room. Punk and Cabana were previously best friends, but that was until a fallout ensued and a vicious and malicious legal battle took place between the two men. There was no news in relation to if there was any issues between the two internally in AEW, but that was until it was reported that Cabana was quickly moved to their Ring of Honor roster. This bizarre move was believed to be formulated by AEW President Tony Khan, who wanted Cabana to be nowhere near Punk in order to keep his resident top guy happy and content. Cabana would be one of the names that Punk would name drop in his infamous all-out press conference rant, and fans were quick to call out Punk for his unfair comments against someone who is genuinely well liked in the locker room. Punk would state, "I haven't had anything to do with Scott Colton in almost a decade. Probably wanted nothing to do with him even longer than that. It's effing unfortunate that I have to come up here and speak on this when I'm on my time. This is my effing business. Why am I a grown-ass adult man and I decide to not be friends with somebody is nobody else's effing business. My relationship with Scott Colton ended long before I paid all of his bills." Fans believe that this was an inappropriate time to air dirty laundry, and it simply made Punk look bitter and resentful. In relation to Cabana, he refused to fight.
People be saying CM Punk always been like that. Even before when he like started like wrestling, he always been like that. Like just like just like dickhead. This dickhead wrestler, bro.
Back at Punk in a similar manner, which was a wise move as it presented Colt Cabana as the more mature individual of the two. One of the first occasions during Punk's AEW run where fans turned on Punk was when he began to have issues with Hangman Adam Page. Page is one of the most popular and beloved wrestlers in the modern era. This also extends to how Punk is perceived backstage by his peers. He had issues with Page because Page apparently went off on a tangent during a promo segment and threw some remarks at Punk that he wasn't comfortable with. Punk was so furious with Page for doing this and seemingly going into business for himself that in August 2020,
He should have talked to. I think CM Punk should have talked to Hangman Adam Page, bro. If he had that much of an issue, I think he should have, bro. After that promo, he should have talked to him, bro. Like, he should have like say how he felt, bro. Man to man.
it was reported that Punk was legitimately close to quitting the company. Punk carried a lot of hatred towards Page following this, and shortly after the incident, Punk went off script completely during a promo on AEW Dynamite and decided to call out Page by declaring, "Nah, that's not cowboy shit, that's coward shit." This threw everyone off guard as it wasn't remotely planned, and it was evident that Punk was trying to make Page look completely inferior. Punk was quite rightly called out for this. This was some WCW in the year 2000 levels of craziness that didn't belong in AEW. It was unprofessional, selfish, and Tony Khan should have taken immediate action, but he didn't, which brought into question Khan's integrity as a boss. Punk's issues with Page only worsened from there, as during the infamous press conference, Punk would once again bring up Page by stating, "What did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed effing dumb F like hammering at a Page to go out on national television and effing go into business for himself? For what? What did I do? What did I ever do? Didn't do a goddamn thing. I'm trying to run an effing business, and when somebody who hasn't done a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million gate this company had ever drawn off my back, goes on national television and does that, it's a disgrace to this industry. It's a disgrace to this company." Now, we're far beyond apologies. Fans were utterly speechless at Punk's comments, and it wasn't just Page and Cabana who Punk targeted, as he also made comments directed to the Elite. There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have effing known better. This shit was none of their business. The Elite, consisting of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, justifiably weren't happy with Punk's comments, and the trio proceeded to storm into Punk's locker room following the press conference. Here was when a physical commotion ensued, and it was reported that punches were thrown, and an AEW trainer, Ace Steel, would even reportedly bite Omega. It was a total disaster. This whole ordeal was seriously damaging to the legitimacy and credibility of AEW as a thriving wrestling promotion. In the aftermath of the physicality, the Elite members were suspended, Ace Steel was eventually released, and, well, Punk was put on the injured list. Tony Khan ruled that an independent third party needed to investigate what happened. The investigation was finished in late October, with the outcome of the investigation not being disclosed to the fans. However, notable news source PW Insider had heard that the investigation was a complete farce. Punk has made mortal enemies out of so many people in AEW, and most of it was via his own actions. There's certainly an argument that can be made that the Elite went about their response to Punk in the wrong manner, as being executives of a company.
Yeah, the Elite shouldn't did that. Y'all EVPs, y'all should not have done that, bro.
Violence is never the answer. However, it looks like this wasn't the first time that the Elite had taken exception to something Punk had said. It goes without saying that the Elite have a brilliant relationship with Adam Page, so Punk berating their friend every chance he could get was naturally cutting deep. AEW was in serious trouble following the incident, especially from a PR perspective, as from the outside the company looked like complete bedlam. Thankfully, AEW currently has some great people in the...
Yeah, Tony Chimmel, I didn't know Tony Chimmel was there. I remember watching him in SmackDown when he was announcer at SmackDown, ring announcer and shit.
Locker room. People such as Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson have stepped up since the press conference and have shown the younger talent that the type of behavior from the likes of Punk is not okay, and AEW is going to be a fun place to work again. But for the most part, these comments have come to fruition, as reports indicate that morale is up since Punk was placed on the AEW's injured list. As things stand, AEW are reportedly attempting to buy out Punk's contract. That's right, Punk has gone from being the biggest star in AEW to AEW attempting to do everything they can to seize their relationship with him. It looks like AEW talent aren't exactly pushing for Punk to ever return. This can be seen just by taking a look at the inaugural AEW World Champion Chris Jericho's Twitter likes. He liked a tweet in October 2022 that completely ripped into Punk, so it appears that Jericho isn't exactly the biggest fan of the former AEW.
Damn, even Jericho don't fuck with Punk, bro.
World Champion. But it wasn't just the Elite, Chris Jericho, or other AEW talent that really didn't sit well with him. Temporary talent Bobby Fish also had this to say in an interview with NBC 10 Count. Interestingly enough, there was a little whatever in the match we had, and after the match, Phil was frankly, as a martial artist, I went out and laid my shoulders down for you, and you should be grateful that I did, because on national television, if I decided that I wanted to effing haku your ass, I could've, because you're that little of a threat in my world. AEW talent Eddie Kingston, who recently feuded with CM Punk, also didn't have some nice words to say about the Second City Saint. In an interview with Inside the Ropes, he mentioned, No, there's no like there. He doesn't like me. I don't like him. I don't think that we're ever gonna like each other. I'm just being honest with you. We're never gonna see eye to eye, and I'm not a very forgiving person. So no, I have no desire to be friends with him, and he has no desire to be friends with me. We just do not like each other. That's it. It's been a crazy few months for AEW and Punk, and it looks like Punk's name is officially tarnished forever. Punk has gone from one of the most desirable free agents in the world to being one of the most loathed in the wrestling business, and this all just happened within about a year. This might not be the end for Punk, as it's also been debated and speculated as to whether he could go to WWE if they ever made him an offer. The issue is that Triple H virtually runs WWE now that Vince McMahon is retired, and it's well documented just how much Triple H and Punk loathe each other. In a recent interview, it did suggest that Triple H may let bygones be bygones, and he could potentially put the prior bad blood behind him. It was reported that an influential figure in WWE is completely against the idea of Punk returning. The name of this mystery figure remains undisclosed, at least for now though. Punk though is in a difficult predicament. And whilst his AEW run initially was thrilling, compelling and entertaining, it's quickly turned into a political fueled, toxic mess that has resulted in him doing more damage than good. There you have it folks,
That's the video. Yeah, what's your thoughts on CM Punk? I mean, CM Punk, like, I think he's a like a great wrestler and all. He's a great wrestler. He a great wrestler. He just like, people do not fuck with him, like, because people just don't fuck with him because his attitude and all that shit. Like, but yeah, he's a great wrestler. But I feel like there's way better wrestlers than CM Punk, bro. There's way better wrestlers than him. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, Kim Punk should have handled that press conference better, bro. Like, should have handled himself way better than that. But yeah, well, let me know what y'all thoughts on CM Punk. Yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. Whether you're just checking out, you are.